All right, today we're going to dive into the work of Dr. Rhonda Patrick and pull out 4 incredibly powerful, science-backed pillars you can actually use to improve your health and, yeah, maybe even extend your lifespan. And it's all based on one surprisingly simple idea. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds completely backward, right? I mean, we're always told to avoid stress, manage stress, get rid of stress. But what if small, controlled doses of it were actually the key, the secret to making our bodies stronger and way more resilient? So there's a scientific name for this, and it's called hormesis. The easiest way to think about it is like a little vaccine for your cells. You introduce these brief, manageable challenges. We're talking things like exercise, fasting, or even big temperature changes, and that activates these powerful stress response pathways in your body. And the cool part is, they don't just turn off when the stress is over. They stay active, helping you combat the general low-grade stress of aging and just, well, daily life. So how do we actually apply this? Well, our first pillar starts right on our plate. We're talking about specific compounds found in plants that act as these tiny, beneficial stressors for our bodies. Let's kick things off with a compound called sulforaphane. Now, when you eat broccoli, or especially broccoli sprouts, it flips a switch in your body called the NRF2 pathway. You can think of this as your body's master regulator for detoxification. It just cranks up the production of your own powerful antioxidants, like glutathione, and it helps your body find and neutralize harmful compounds, even things like carcinogens. Okay, but here's the catch. How you prepare your broccoli is absolutely crucial. See, cooking it actually deactivates the very enzyme you need to create sulforaphane in the first place. But don't worry, Dr. Patrick has this brilliant hack. Just sprinkle about half a teaspoon of ground mustard seed powder onto your cooked broccoli. Why? Because mustard seed contains that missing enzyme. And get this, studies show this super simple step can boost the available sulforaphane by up to 4 times. All right, let's move on to pillar number 2. See, it's not just about adding these good stressors. It's also about making sure we have the fundamental building blocks our bodies desperately need to function at their best. And the reality is, many of us are surprisingly deficient in these. A lot of it thanks to modern diets and how our food is processed. Okay, so check this out, because this really shows the huge gap we're talking about. The omega-3 index, it's a measure of how much of these crucial fats are in our red blood cells. In the US, the average is just 5%. Now compare that to Japan, where the average is up around 10%. So why does this matter so much? Because that gap can literally translate to years of your life. Seriously, research by Dr. Bill Harris found that people with an optimal omega-3 index, so around 8%, had a 5-year increase in life expectancy compared to those with a low index of 4%. Just think about that. Just going from insufficient to sufficient could have a massive impact. And you can see why Dr. Patrick sees omega-3s as one of the most powerful tools we have. They are critical for resolving inflammation, which affects everything from your mood, by influencing serotonin release, to your long-term brain health. The target dose she recommends to get your index up is around 2 grams a day of high-quality EPA and DHA. Those are the 2 most important types, and you'll typically find those in fish oil. Next up is a nutrient where the deficiency is, well, it's just staggering. A whopping 70%, 70, of the US population has insufficient levels of vitamin D. And this goes way, way beyond just bone health. You see, vitamin D isn't really a vitamin at all. It actually acts as a hormone. It gets into the nucleus of your cells and literally switches genes on and off. We're talking about it regulating over 5% of your entire protein encoding genome. It's influencing your immune system, your blood pressure, and even the production of serotonin, that feel-good chemical, right inside your brain. And believe it or not, the shortfalls don't stop there. About 40% of the US population doesn't get enough magnesium. It's this essential mineral that's just become harder and harder to get from our food, mainly because of soil depletion over the years. So what does magnesium do? Well, for starters, it's a critical helper for the enzymes that repair your DNA from all the damage it takes every single day. It's also absolutely essential for creating ATP, which is the energy currency that powers every single one of your cells. Dr. Patrick calls a lack of magnesium an insidious kind of damage. You don't feel it day to day, but it's happening, building up over time. All right, for pillar number 3, we're circling back to that idea of hormesis, but this time we're using deliberate heat exposure, think sauna, as a really powerful form of beneficial stress. Okay, this is some of the most jaw-dropping data out there. It comes from these long-term Finnish studies. Just look at the dose-dependent effect. Using a sauna just 2 to 3 times a week was linked to a 20% reduction in dementia risk. Pretty good. But bumping that up to 4 to 7 times a week, that was linked to over a 60% reduction. It's incredible. The more you do it, the bigger the benefit. But it's not just about how often you go. It's also about how long you stay in there. The very same studies found that to get the most significant cardiovascular benefits, we're talking a 50% drop in heart-related mortality. The sessions needed to last longer than 19 minutes. 20 minutes really seems to be that sweet spot where the magic starts to happen. All right, time for our final pillar, and for this one, we're flipping the script and going to the complete opposite extreme. Deliberate cold exposure, which offers this unique set of benefits that actually perfectly complements the effects of the heat. So unlike stimulants, like coffee or sugar that cause that sharp spike and then the inevitable crash, getting into cold water triggers a much more gradual but significant release of dopamine. This creates this elevated state of mood, focus, and alertness that can last for hours, which is exactly why Dr. Patrick often does it before a big podcast or an important talk. But the real long-term magic here is adaptation. To get better at producing its own heat, your body responds to the cold by building more mitochondria. Those are the little energy factories inside your cells. This process is called mitochondrial biogenesis, and it is a key hallmark of healthy aging. You're essentially upgrading your cellular engines to be more powerful and more efficient. So when you put them side by side like this, you can really see how they're not redundant at all. They're complementary tools. The heat exposure mimics cardio and activates these protective proteins. The cold exposure gives you that sustained dopamine boost and builds new cellular batteries from the ground up. They're both part of a toolkit for building a more robust biology. Okay, so let's bring it all together one last time. Dr. Patrick's 4 pillars are, first, harnessing those beneficial stressors from plants, like broccoli. Second, correcting those super common deficiencies in key nutrients like omega-3, vitamin D, and magnesium. And finally, consistently using both heat and cold as powerful complementary forms of medicine. And that brings us to the end. But the real question is, what comes next for you? Looking at these 4 pillars, which one feels the most doable for you right now? Maybe it's just adding that mustard powder to your broccoli. Maybe it's trying to get into 20-minute sauna. Or maybe just ending your shower with 30 seconds of cold. The question is, what small, beneficial stress will you add to your life this week?